Movie review. Flawless victory.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. This is Chadwick Webb, and I'm here with another movie review for you today. And I went and I saw Mortal Kombat 2. I normally don't get to go to the movies too often. A lot of it's because, I just want to spend a lot of time with my family. But when I get to go, I normally have a really good time. And I kind of cherish those little times that I can go. I'm trying to go a lot more. And today I just kind of had a little bit of time and I was like, hey, let's try to just go see a movie. And I didn't even really know everything that was out, but I looked at the show times that they had at the theater I wanted to go to, and Mortal Kombat 2 had the best showing. So I went. And just a refresher, I hadn't really dived deep into like Mortal Kombat lore. I played the games a lot when I was a kid, but those were the earlier games, the ones that were basically just you fighting and moving up a ladder, just the really early ones. And I'd never really gotten into the ones that started to have more of like a storyline and things like that. But I did watch the first couple ones in the 90s. I actually really liked the original Mortal Kombat movie. I watched that a lot. I haven't seen it in a very long time, so I barely remember a lot from it. And I remember Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That I don't really think that's barely a movie. Fun story. I once went to rent this back when, before streaming, when you had things like pay-per-view. What you would do is they would have a movie available and you would call a number and then they would, I guess charge your phone bill and then or your cable or whatever it was, and then they would unlock it for you. So I set that whole thing up. I rented Mortal Kombat Annihilation. My mom was like, "What are you doing? We don't have any time. Why would you do this? We don't have any time for this." And then we had to leave. But um, I do remember watching it. It's barely a movie. I probably had some fun with it before because they introduced Jax and stuff. And speaking of Jax, Jax is in this movie. I can't remember. I think he is in the 2021 movie as well. It's been a little bit since I've seen that. If I had had time, I wanted to revisit that movie before going to see the sequel. Maybe it would have made things make a little bit more sense. But ultimately, this sequel, I think, has some good things in it, but a lot more bad things, I feel like. But just real quick, basically, the plot goes is, the first movie is all about like assembling this team, and you start with the character Cole, and it's like that's not really, I don't think, a character from the game lore. It's just a new character for the movie. I remember in the first movie, I didn't really find that character all that interesting. I guess I relate to him a little bit because he's trying to like protect his family and stuff. But even in the sequel, it didn't really feel like they really cared that much about him. So I don't remember how well he's treated in the first movie. But in the sequel, he takes a back seat. Like, this is kind of, I guess, a Johnny Cage movie. Like, they start the movie out with, Johnny Cage and Katana. Because they start the movie out with, like, Katana as a kid, and her dad gets killed. This is all at the beginning, so that's not spoilers. But her dad gets killed, and then that kind of makes her property of, was it Shao Tsung? Apologies if I'm forgetting all the names of the characters, but yeah, so that's kind of how that is. And then you get to see her grow into a very vicious young woman, but nice, and stuff. So she's a good character to follow. And then it goes into Johnny Cage's story, and then you get to see how all these characters kind of come together to fight on like different sides, and then maybe they might come together a little bit differently later on. Going through this movie, I thought that they were rushing a lot, which is kind of weird because they had a whole first movie. And I feel like they were like, well, let's introduce Johnny Cage in the second movie. And, it's kind of a fun tease, but then it's like, well, now you feel like it feels like you're rushing Johnny Cage's character. Like, why couldn't you have just introduced him a little bit more in the first movie? That way you can develop his character a little bit more. And then you spend a whole movie developing Cole. I feel like you don't even really care about him in this movie. And I think that's just a big problem with these two movies, is that they don't really feel like the structure is that good. The structure is that put together. Like, they could have really made, I think, like an interesting, well-told story, with character development and characters that you care about. And it doesn't even feel like the movie really cares about these characters. It feels like it really wants to make these, jokes that you feel like you've heard 1,000 times before from characters that feel like, archetypes of other characters you've seen in so many movies. It feels like Carl Urban, even though he's Johnny Cage, feels like he's just the same Carl Urban character that he is in a lot of these movies. That's not a knock on Carl Urban. That's just a knock on, the writing and, just like, I guess, what audiences want to see these days, just the same types of characters over and over. And, it's a little bit frustrating when you get things like that, and then you're just like, yeah, okay, you're rushing through it. You're not really giving me much to chew on here. But at the end of the day, I know it's a Mortal Kombat movie. It's a video game movie. Although I don't want to talk down to video game movies. We've seen that video game movies and shows and things like that actually can have some good merit to them. They can actually have some quality to them. And I want to see more of that. I want to see like a Mortal Kombat with like a good story. And, I know here they just want to focus on the fights. They want to get you the characters, kind of bring them in an interesting way, and just give us the fights. But even then, and I noticed this from the first movie as well, I feel like the editing of the fight and the choreography isn't that great. There's a joke that Johnny Cage makes in this movie, like, no one wants to see Johnny Cage anymore. They want to see Keanu Reeves. And it's just like, yeah, because John Wick actually has great like choreography and like fight direction, and just the way it's shot is just so awesome and fun to watch. Now, granted, there are some scenes in this movie that are fun to watch. There's a scene between Liu Kang and another character. I don't know what's a spoiler necessarily, so I don't want to like give in, but it's a very personal fight for Liu Kang. And that fight looked really cool. There's like another big fight at the end that is really cool, and I feel like the whole third act starts to get really interesting, and there's some really interesting, cool shots. Something to do with Johnny Cage and his sunglasses. They really make good use of the sunglasses, and those are very important to Johnny Cage. And I don't know if they could have like put in a story of like, these are my grandfather's sunglasses or something like that, but they just make them feel younger and feel cooler. I kind of wish they actually had a little bit of story with that, with Johnny Cage, like getting his groove back. How Johnny Cage got his groove back should be the title of this movie. And he ends up kind of going through that arc. And I feel like they could have made that a little bit deeper. They try their best, I feel like, with it. But it kind of just feels like a paint by numbers kind of a situation with this. I will say, like, I didn't remember how funny this character might have been in the first movie, but it's actually Josh Lawson as Kano. He really shines in this movie. I know that this is supposed to be like the big Carl Urban movie, but I felt like Carl Urban's jokes fell a lot of like flat a lot. and they really rush his character. But with Kano, like Kano doesn't have like some big arc or anything, I don't think. But like the his jokes and just his presence is always so funny, so sarcastic and witty, and just kind of dumb, but like that kind of like macho, I'm gonna make fun of you kind of jokey way, which I think was really funny. That was kind of a big highlight for me in this movie. So yeah, the fight, some of the jokes I thought were good. Not all the fights, some of the fights I thought were just too much CGI. There's a character that gets killed in a specific way, and it just looks so bad. Like I've seen a kill in that way before. But then there's another fight where, like specifically with Liu Kang, that has like a really cool moment, a very brutal moment, and things like that. And ultimately, I didn't like watching like half of it maybe, but then the other half I feel like started to pick up and started to get really good. In the way that like you're watching like a Mortal Kombat movie that has some good fight choreography, that has some good character moments and good beats that you're like, okay, they nailed that beat, they nailed that. And just the iconography, some of it they nailed, some of it I'm like, I don't know about this. But then again, I'm like I said, I'm not like the biggest Mortal Kombat fan. I really like the games a lot. I like playing them, but I'm not like steeped into the lore or anything like that. So, if you're looking for like a super informed take, that's not really what I offer right now. There was one point when there's a specific character that was about to get introduced that wasn't in the first film from the games that someone like alluded to. You're about to see a specific character, and then Johnny Cage goes, "What?" He's never heard of the thing, and it's like, dude, he just found out that all of this existed. Of course he doesn't know what that is. And then all the characters think like you don't know what that is? Just the logic of the movie sometimes is just really off. But and I just felt like, when he finds out that there's another world, he just kind of goes with them, and I'm like, wouldn't you show a little bit more hesitance? But I mean, I had some fun with it. If you're going in for just a really great, well-written movie, I don't think this is it. You gotta like action. You gotta like fighting stuff. You gotta be okay with some of it not being so well done. But then if you wait, you'll see some cool stuff that you actually do like. I hope you really like it. So yeah, I recommend it if you're going in for kind of a fun, dumb time, and it's not like something you're going to get a lot out of, like emotionally or anything like that. But like there's even like an emotional moment with one of the characters from the first one that I feel like they just kind of gloss over a little bit, but that's not really this movie. But I'm hoping that maybe with a third one, because I think they could do a third one, you know, this being like the big tournament and everything, maybe there'll be kind of like a third one with like another tournament or something like that. It felt like they were setting something up, but I wasn't exactly sure. They could probably also end it here if they wanted to. But yeah, I think you might enjoy it. But if you also want to skip it, that's probably fine too. I'm on the fence with this one. I'd watch it again down the road, but I'm not rushing to rewatch this. So, hey guys, if you like Mortal Kombat, if you don't, go check it out. Let me know in the comments like what you thought of Mortal Kombat 2. Am I unfair? Is there something that I just wasn't seeing that was like really good in it? Or did you think it was worse than I thought and you just kind of hated it? Tell me about that Liu Kang scene. The big fight. There's some really cool stuff in there. So, yeah, let me know in the comments and look around here. Hopefully for some more reviews later. And thank you for watching.